The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a gleaming silver leaf, its hull catching the sun's rays and scattering them in dazzling patterns. Inside the United Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Tom Reed watched the main screen with an expressionless face, though his eyes held a hint of amusement. "They think they're making first contact," he murmured to himself, straightening his plain blue uniform. The Admiral knew better. Humanity had been watching the Federation for centuries, silently observing their politics, their wars, their daily lives, all through means the aliens couldn't even imagine. The alien ship's communication system crackled to life. "People of Earth," a smooth voice announced in perfectly translated English. "I am Ambassador Vale of the Galactic Federation. We come in peace and friendship." Reed pressed the response button. "This is Admiral Reed of United Earth Defense. Welcome to our solar system." He kept his voice humble, maintaining the illusion of a relatively primitive civilization. The alien ambassador's hologram appeared in the center of the command room. Vale stood tall and dignified, his silvery skin and elongated features marking him as one of the Federation's dominant species. His expression held that particular mix of superiority and benevolence that Reed had seen countless times through humanity's quantum observers. "We have been watching your civilization's progress with great interest," Vale announced, spreading his four-fingered hands in what his species considered a welcoming gesture. "Your recent achievement of faster-than-light travel has qualified Earth for membership in our galactic community." Reed hid a smile. The Federation had only detected the test flights Earth had wanted them to see. The countless stealth ships that had been traveling the galaxy for generations remained unnoticed, cloaked by technologies that the Federation scientists would consider impossible. "We are honored by your offer," Reed replied, playing his role perfectly. Behind him, Dr. Anna Miller, head of Project Observer, watched the exchange with keen interest. She had spent decades directing humanity's secret quantum observation program, and now she would see its fruits. Vale continued his rehearsed speech, explaining the Federation's structure, its benefits, and the guidance they would provide to help humanity advance. With each word, he revealed more about the Federation's true intentions, information that merely confirmed what Project Observer had already discovered. The meeting continued for several hours. Vale and his delegation shared what they considered impressive technological displays: faster-than-light drives, matter replication, energy shields. Reed and his team responded with carefully calculated awe, while hidden quantum sensors recorded every detail of the alien technology. "There is one more thing," Vale said near the end of the meeting. "We detected some unusual energy signatures around your planet. Perhaps you could explain them." His tone was casual, but his secondary eyes narrowed slightly, a sign of suspicion in his species. Reed had been waiting for this question. "Our scientists have been experimenting with clean energy production," he explained, using one of several prepared cover stories. "We would welcome your expertise in refining these techniques." Vale seemed satisfied with the answer, though Reed knew the energy signatures were actually from humanity's quantum observation network. The Federation's sensors could detect its effects but not understand its true nature, much like primitive cultures might detect radio waves without comprehending their purpose. As the alien delegation prepared to leave, Reed exchanged a subtle glance with Dr. Miller. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Federation would continue to see what humanity wanted them to see, a promising but primitive species in need of guidance. They would never suspect that their every move was being watched by thousands of human quantum observers, their every secret known to the civilization they thought they were discovering. The deception was necessary. Humanity had learned long ago that revealing too much power too quickly led to conflict. Better to be underestimated, to watch and wait until the right moment. That moment would come soon enough, but for now, the game of pretense would continue. As Vale's ship departed, Reed allowed himself a small smile. The Federation thought they were writing history today, making first contact with a new species. They didn't realize that they were merely players in a much larger story, one that humanity had been directing for centuries. The real revelation was yet to come. 200 years earlier, in a secret underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Robert Wells stared at his computer screen in disbelief. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, forgotten in the excitement of what he was seeing. "Come look at this," he called to his research partner, Dr. Mary Cooper. "The quantum particles, they're connected to something living, something far beyond our solar system." Mary rushed over, her gray hair escaping from its neat bun. She had spent 30 years studying quantum mechanics, but nothing had prepared her for this discovery. The human brain could somehow connect with quantum-entangled particles across vast distances of space. It wasn't just data they were receiving. It was actual sensory information from other parts of the galaxy. "We need to tell the Council," Mary said quietly, her hands shaking as she adjusted her glasses. But both scientists knew this discovery would change everything. 3 days later, in a secure meeting room deep within the facility, 12 people sat around a large table. They represented Earth's most secret scientific organization, the Quantum Research Division. The air felt heavy with the weight of their discussion. "You're telling me," said Director John Parker, his face serious under the room's bright lights, "that we can see across the galaxy using human consciousness alone." "Not just see," Robert explained, pointing to his data displays. "We can hear, feel, and even sense emotions. The human mind can connect with these quantum particles in ways we never imagined. And the aliens can't detect it because it's not technology. It's just our consciousness reaching out." The implications were enormous. Humanity could observe alien civilizations without leaving Earth. They could learn, study, and prepare for the day when contact would finally come. Project Observer began the very next day. The government built special facilities where trained human observers could link their minds with the quantum network. These observers spent hours exploring distant worlds, learning alien languages, and watching advanced civilizations. Years passed, and the project grew. They discovered that some humans had stronger abilities than others. Tom Reed, who would later become Admiral, was one of the best. Even as a young man, he could maintain quantum contact for hours without getting tired. "It's like watching a movie," he explained to the new recruits. "Except you're really there, feeling everything, but no one can see or hear you. We're like ghosts watching the galaxy." The observers learned about the Galactic Federation long before it discovered Earth. They watched its councils, studied its technology, and learned its weaknesses. They saw how the Federation treated new civilizations, not as equals, but as resources to be controlled. Most importantly, they discovered that humans were unique. No other species could connect with quantum particles this way. It was humanity's hidden strength, a power that no one else could understand or copy. "We have to keep this secret," Director Parker told his team. "If the Federation finds out what we can do, they'll see us as a threat. We need to appear weak and simple until we're ready to reveal the truth." So Earth built a careful disguise. They showed the galaxy only what they wanted it to see, a young civilization just learning to travel through space. Meanwhile, their quantum observers watched everything, gathering knowledge and preparing for the future. In his private office, Director Parker looked at the latest reports from his observers. They showed Federation ships moving through space, alien diplomats making secret deals, and advanced weapons being developed. But none of them knew about the human watchers. "Patience," he wrote in his diary that night. "We must have patience. The time will come when the galaxy learns what humanity can really do. But first, we must watch and learn and wait." Outside his window, the stars twinkled in the night sky. Somewhere out there, thousands of human minds were reaching across space, silently watching, learning, and preparing for the day when everything would change. The Federation's Grand Hall sparkled with light reflecting off its crystal walls. Admiral Reed stood calmly at the podium, giving his first speech to the Galactic Council. Around him sat representatives from 300 alien species, all watching Earth's delegate with mild interest or barely hidden boredom. In the shadows of the upper gallery, 3 figures moved silently. They carried weapons that could pass through the Federation's best security systems. Their orders were simple: kill the human representatives and blame it on a rival alien faction. No one would question it. New species often had enemies. What the assassins didn't know was that 50 human observers were watching them through the quantum field. One of these observers was Jenny White, sitting in her monitoring chamber back on Earth. She saw everything through her quantum connection. 3 hostiles moving into position, she reported. Level 4, Section C. Her mind reached out, touching the complex circuits in the assassins' weapons. Years of observation had taught humans exactly how alien technology worked. Reed continued his speech, appearing completely unaware of the danger. Earth looks forward to learning from the Federation's great wisdom, he said, his words careful and humble. In the audience, Ambassador Vale nodded approvingly. The humans were learning their place. The lead assassin raised his weapon. His finger tightened on the trigger. The weapon hummed to life, gathering energy for a deadly blast. Nothing happened. The assassin pressed the trigger again. Still nothing. Panic crept into his eyes as he checked his weapon. Everything looked normal, but it simply wouldn't fire. Behind him, his partners discovered the same problem. Then they felt it, a strange sensation in their minds. It felt like thousands of eyes were watching them. They heard whispers in their thoughts, speaking in languages they didn't know. For a brief moment, they understood what it felt like to be truly seen. In the monitoring chamber on Earth, Jenny smiled. The quantum field could do more than just observe. When necessary, it could touch minds, influence technology, and protect humanity's interests. Down in the Grand Hall, Reed paused his speech. He looked directly at the hidden assassins, his eyes knowing. "Is something wrong?" he asked loudly. "Perhaps our friends in the gallery would like to join us." The council members looked up, confused. Security teams rushed to the upper level, only to find 3 assassins standing frozen, their weapons useless in their hands. On their faces was a look of pure terror. Ambassador Vale stood up quickly. "What is happening?" he demanded. "How did you know they were there?" Reed's face stayed calm, but his eyes held a new kind of power. "Let's just say that humans have certain abilities. We see more than you might think." The assassins were brought down to the council floor. Under questioning, they revealed they worked for the Drachnid Empire, a rival power that wanted to stop Earth from joining the Federation. But that wasn't what worried the council members. "The weapons," one security chief said, "they're perfect, but they don't work. And the assassins, they're scared, really scared. They keep talking about voices in their heads." Vale looked at Reed differently now. The human's humble smile was gone, replaced by something more confident, more dangerous. "Perhaps," Reed said quietly, "it's time for the Federation to learn that humanity isn't quite as simple as you thought." The council chamber erupted in worried whispers. How had the humans disabled advanced weapons without touching them? How had they known about the assassins? What else could they do? In her chamber on Earth, Jenny disconnected from the quantum field and typed her report. The incident was regrettable, but maybe it was time. Time for the galaxy to start learning the truth about humanity's real power. The Federation would never see humans the same way again. The age of pretending to be weak was coming to an end. Fears spread through the Federation like a virus. 2 weeks after the assassination attempt, strange reports began flooding in from every corner of the galaxy. Human ships appeared in places they shouldn't be able to reach. Human diplomats knew secrets that no one had ever told them. The carefully built illusion of humanity's weakness was falling apart. In the Federation's most secure military base, General Kex stared at his screens in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered, watching the surveillance feeds. A human trade ship had somehow entered restricted space, passing through their strongest defense shields like they weren't even there. When questioned, the human captain just smiled and claimed they must have made a wrong turn. "Sir," his assistant reported, We're getting more reports. The humans, they know things. Things they couldn't possibly know. On the Federation's capital world, Ambassador Vale sat in his private office, going through old meeting records. His hands shook as he read. In every diplomatic session over the past month, the human representatives had casually mentioned details about secret Federation projects. They talked about hidden bases, private conversations, and classified research as if reading from an open book. How long? Vale wondered aloud. How long have they been watching us? The answer came from an unexpected source. The junior clerk in the Federation's historical archives made a startling discovery. She found references to human-like beings observing important events throughout Federation history. Witnesses had reported feelings of being watched, strange whispers in their minds, and unexplained technical failures going back centuries. In the Federation Science Council, the greatest minds struggle to understand humanity's capabilities. Their ships used no known form of propulsion. Their communications couldn't be intercepted. Their knowledge couldn't be explained by any kind of normal surveillance. It's like they exist partly in another dimension, one scientist explained to the council. They can see us, but we can't see them. They can touch our technology, but we can't touch theirs. Admiral Reed watched the panic spread with calm eyes. In his quarters on the human embassy ship, he received regular updates from Earth's quantum observers. They showed him the Federation's desperate attempts to understand what was happening. Should we tell them everything? Asked Dr. Miller, who had arrived from Earth to help manage the situation. Reed shook his head. Not yet. Let them figure out some of it on their own. It will be easier for them to accept if they discover part of the truth themselves. But the truth was bigger than anyone in the Federation could guess. Human quantum observers had watched their civilization grow from its earliest days. They had seen every war, every peace treaty, every technological breakthrough. Sometimes, they had quietly intervened to prevent disasters that would have destroyed millions of lives. In a secret Federation Council meeting, Vale presented his findings. The humans are not what we thought, he said, his voice trembling. They've been here all along, watching, learning. Their ships can go anywhere. Their minds can reach across space. They know everything about us, but we know almost nothing about them. One council member stood up angrily. Why didn't they show their power before? Why pretend to be weak? The answer came from a human diplomatic message sent to every Federation world at the same time. Because true power isn't about showing strength. It's about knowing when to hold back. We waited until you were ready to understand. The Federation's leaders began to realize a hard truth. They hadn't discovered humanity. Humanity had been guiding them all along. Every major decision, every technological advance, every peaceful solution to a crisis, had the humans been there, invisibly helping. As the truth unraveled, the galaxy's power structure began to shake. But this was just the beginning. The real test would come when some decided to fight against this hidden power that had watched them for so long. The attack began at dawn, Earth time. 5,000 ships from 12 different alien factions appeared around Earth's solar system. They came from all directions, using their most advanced stealth technology, confident that they would surprise the supposedly weaker human race. They were wrong. In the Earth Defense Command Center, Admiral Reed sipped his morning coffee as he watched the enemy fleet's positions on the main screen. Human quantum observers had watched these ships gather for weeks. They had seen every planning meeting, heard every strategic discussion, and knew exactly what was coming. They really thought they could surprise us, Reed said, shaking his head. Dr. Miller, are our preparations ready? Dr. Miller stood at her control station, her hands moving over the quantum interface. All observers are in position, Admiral. We can touch every ship in their fleet. The alien command ships sent their ultimatum. Surrender Earth to Federation control, or be destroyed. They gave humans 1 hour to decide. Reed waited exactly 30 minutes before responding. This is Admiral Reed, to all attacking forces. He broadcast on all frequencies. "We see you. We've always seen you. This is your only warning. Turn back now." In response, the alien fleet launched their first wave of attacks. 10,000 missiles streaked toward Earth, each powerful enough to destroy a city. Not one of them reached their target. The missiles simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next they were gone, as if space itself had swallowed them. On the alien ships, weapon systems went dark. Engines stopped responding. Communication systems fell silent. Through the quantum field, thousands of human observers reached out. They didn't just disable the alien technology. They reshaped space itself around the ships, creating bubbles of altered reality where nothing worked the way it should. "What's happening?" an alien admiral demanded as his flagship's systems failed. "How are they doing this?" The answer came in an unexpected way. Every alien in the attack fleet suddenly felt a gentle touch in their minds. They experienced brief flashes of Earth's history, centuries of humans watching, learning, and growing. They felt the vast network of human consciousness that stretched across the galaxy, saw themselves through human eyes, and understood just how much humanity had been holding back. In the Earth Defense Command Center, Reed watched as panic spread through the enemy fleet. Ships tried to retreat, but their engines wouldn't respond. They were completely at humanity's mercy. "We could destroy them all right now," one of the military commanders suggested. Reed shook his head. "That's not our way. Never has been." He pressed the broadcast button again. "Attention, alien fleet. Your weapons are disabled. Your ships are contained. But you are safe. We will not harm you." Through the quantum field, Dr. Miller directed the observers to begin releasing the ships, one by one. As each vessel regained control, they fled at maximum speed, not even waiting for orders from their commanders. Within 6 hours, Earth's solar system was clear of enemy ships. Not a single shot had been fired. Not one life had been lost. Humanity had faced its greatest military challenge, and one without violence. In the aftermath, messages poured in from across the galaxy. Some were terrified apologies. Others were desperate attempts to establish friendly relations. A few were from worlds that had always suspected something special about humans, asking to learn more about humanity's true nature. Reed stood at his office window, watching the sunset. "Do you think they understand yet?" he asked Dr. Miller. She smiled. "They're beginning to. They finally see that true power isn't about destruction. It's about knowledge, understanding, and the wisdom to use ability wisely." As night fell over Earth, the Quantum Observer Network hummed with activity. Humans watched as the galaxy tried to come to terms with what had happened. The storm had broken, but it had brought clarity with it. Now came the harder task: helping the galaxy understand humanity's role in their shared future. 1 month after the failed attack on Earth, the Federation's Grand Hall was packed with representatives from every known civilization. They had come to hear humanity's full explanation of their powers and their purpose. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Admiral Reed stood at the center of the hall, but this time there was no pretense of humility. Behind him stood Dr. Miller and a team of Earth's top quantum observers. The time for hiding was over. For centuries, Reed began, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. Humanity has washed over this galaxy. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as guardians. Today, you'll learn why. Dr. Miller stepped forward, activating a holographic display that filled the hall. But this was no ordinary hologram. It was a direct feed from the quantum field, showing the galaxy as humans saw it. The aliens gasped as they saw reality through human eyes. The universe was more complex, more interconnected than they had ever imagined. Streams of consciousness flowed between stars. Quantum threads connected everything to everything else, and humans could see it all. "Our species evolved differently than yours," Dr. Miller explained. "Our minds developed the ability to connect with the quantum field that underlies all reality. We can observe, interact, and even shape this field in ways that your sciences haven't yet discovered. She demonstrated by reaching out through the quantum field, gently touching the minds of everyone in the room. They felt what it was like to be a quantum observer, to see across vast distances, to understand the deep connections between all things. Ambassador Vale, still shaken from recent events, stood up. "Why?" he asked. "Why hide this power for so long? Why pretend to be weak?" Reed's answer was simple. Because power without wisdom is dangerous. We needed to understand the galaxy and its people before revealing ourselves. We needed to know if you were ready. The holographic display showed key moments from galactic history. Wars prevented, disasters averted, discoveries guided, all through humanity's subtle influence. They had never controlled or dominated, only nudged and suggested when necessary. "Think about it," Reed continued. "If we had revealed our abilities immediately, how would you have reacted? Fear would have led to conflict. Conflict would have led to destruction. Instead, we chose to watch, to learn, and to help from the shadows." A representative from a warlike species stood up angrily. "You had no right to interfere in our affairs." "We had every right," Dr. Miller responded calmly. "We're all part of this galaxy. Your wars affected everyone. Your choices impacted countless lives. We didn't stop you from making your own decisions. We just helped prevent those decisions from destroying millions of innocent lives." To prove her point, she showed them alternate timelines. Paths the galaxy might have taken without humanity's subtle guidance. The aliens saw their own civilizations torn apart by wars that had been prevented, destroyed by disasters that had been averted. "We're not here to rule you," Reed assured them. "We're here to help you understand the true nature of the universe, to show you that consciousness, understanding, and cooperation are more powerful than weapons and wars." The revelation continued for hours. The humans explained their quantum technologies, their observation networks, their methods of influencing reality itself. They showed how every species had the potential to develop similar abilities, given time and guidance. Finally, Ambassador Vale asked the question everyone was thinking: "What happens now?" Reed smiled, but this time it was genuine, not the diplomatic mask he had worn for so long. "Now we work together. We teach you what we know. We learn what you can teach us. We build a galaxy based on understanding instead of fear." As the session ended, the aliens left with their minds reeling from all they had learned. They had come expecting to hear about a powerful weapon or advanced technology. Instead, they had discovered that reality itself was different than they had imagined, and humans had known it all along. The truth was out. The consequences would reshape the galaxy forever. 1 year after humanity's great revelation, the galaxy was a very different place. The old Federation building had been replaced by a new structure, the Galactic Council of Understanding. Its crystal spires reached toward the stars, but unlike the old Federation Hall, this building was designed to enhance quantum connections, not just look impressive. Inside the main chamber, Admiral Reed watched as the first class of alien quantum students practiced their skills. Under human guidance, other species were beginning to discover their own connections to the quantum field. It wasn't as natural for them as it was for humans, but they were learning. "Their progress is remarkable," Dr. Miller said, standing beside him. She pointed to a young alien who had just successfully observed events happening on their homeworld, millions of light years away. "They're eager to learn." The past year had brought many changes. The old power structures had crumbled, replaced by something new, something better. Humanity had kept their promise. They weren't ruling the galaxy, they were teaching it. In orbit above Earth, a massive station served as the headquarters for the new Quantum Observer Corps. Aliens from hundreds of species trained alongside humans, learning to use their developing abilities responsibly. The station's quantum field enhancers helped them practice, but the real learning happened in their minds. "Remember," an instructor told her mixed class of humans and aliens, "seeing across space is just the beginning. The quantum field connects everything. Understanding that connection is the key to true power. Ambassador Vale, now the head of the Galactic Council, had become one of the strongest supporters of the New Order. He remembered his own first lesson in quantum observation, the moment when he realized that the universe was far more wonderful and strange than he had ever imagined. "We were so proud," he told a group of new council members. "We thought we knew everything about space and science, but humans showed us that the greatest power comes from understanding, not from weapons or technology." The changes weren't just political. Trade routes now used quantum guidance to travel safely through space. Hospitals used quantum healing techniques that humans had developed centuries ago. Scientists studied the quantum field itself, making discoveries that would have seemed like magic just a year before. But the biggest change was in how species treated each other. It's hard to hate someone when you can feel their consciousness, understand their thoughts, and see the universe through their eyes. The quantum field showed everyone that they were all connected, all part of the same cosmic web. In his private office, Reed looked at reports from across the galaxy. Crime rates were down. Wars had nearly stopped. Species that had fought for centuries were working together. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. But it was better. Was it worth the wait? Dr. Miller asked him. All those centuries of watching and hiding. Reed nodded, thinking of all the generations of humans who had watched and waited, knowing they couldn't reveal themselves until the time was right. "Look at them now," he said. "They're not just accepting our power, they're learning to find their own." A signal came in from a quantum observer post in a distant galaxy. They had found new civilizations out there, young species just beginning to reach for the stars. The question wasn't whether to contact them, but when they would be ready to learn the truth. "That's the real lesson we taught them," Reed said, watching a group of alien children playing with quantum toys in the garden below. "Power isn't about control. It's about patience, wisdom, and knowing when to teach instead of rule." As the day ended, quantum observers across the galaxy, human and alien alike, watched the stars together. They saw the threads of reality that connected everything, felt the pulse of consciousness that flowed through space itself. The galaxy had trembled at the revelation of humanity's power, but now it danced with the joy of shared understanding. The age of secrets was over. The age of wisdom had begun.